the record.
My name is Gary Melvin. My DOC number is 632004.
All right, Gary, you heard the introductions. We're here for parole hearing. We'll ask some questions. You can respond. At the end, you can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process?
Yes, sir, I do.
Gary Melman, DOC number 632004, first class offender, parole eligibility date 8/17/2017. No good time date, full term date 8/19/2025. Indecent behavior with juvenile. And you had a hearing on when you were denied 2017, is that correct?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, how old are you?
I'm 46 years old.
How long have you been incarcerated?
9 years.
And you have a GED, high school diploma, college, what do you?
I have a GED and I graduated in 2013 from Universal Technical Institute.
University of what?
Universal Technical Institute in Houston.
Okay, what are you doing with that?
I'm a certified mechanic, automotive, diesel, and guns.
Were you doing that before you were incarcerated?
Yes, sir, I was.
Tell me what you currently are doing in the facility there. Were you a trustee? What do you do?
I'm a trustee. I work commissary.
When's your last disciplinary write-up?
I haven't had one, sir.
Can't have one in 9 years.
No, sir, I haven't.
How long have you been there? How long have you been at Franklin?
I've been here since February of 2017.
Where were you before that?
I was in Bunkie, Louisiana.
Yeah. So tell me what, first of all, I want you to tell me what all you've been doing, but this is a significant crime here. So explain to me what was going on with you during this time period. And let me just say for the record, Shandell Millman will be here, will speak, is not speaking. But she's here in support, but is not speaking. Tell me, explain to me how you get to this point. Explain to me, I'm having a hard time understanding. Tell me, with alcohol, drugs, what's going on? What tell me about this crime.
I had a lot of addictions in my life, gambling, drugs, alcohol, and I was in some very dark times at that time. And I couldn't control myself, sir.
And what kind of drugs were you taking?
I was on weed, cocaine.
And drinking?
Only on the weekends.
Were you working?
Yes, sir, I was working.
So what would make you to do this? I mean, you don't know where you were. You didn't know where you were. You were just doing what you wanted to do. What exactly is going on?
I didn't feel like at that time I had control of myself. You know, like I said, I was in a dark time.
Do you have any type of mental health diagnosis?
I'm bipolar manic depressive.
Are you taking medication currently for that?
Yes, sir, I am.
You being followed by somebody?
Not at this time, no, sir.
You receiving medication?
Yes, sir, I'm taking Respinol.
Is that helping?
Yes, sir, it is.
Do you have anything happen to you in your past that would trigger something like this?
Yes, sir, I was physically, mentally, and sexually abused when I was growing up by family members.
How old were you when that happened?
From the age of 1 until about 10, 11 years old.
Did you live with your mom and dad?
Yes, sir, I did.
Were they aware of that?
I tried telling him, but my dad was the type that didn't want to hear no trouble in the family. He was in the Air Force. So he didn't want to bother with anything.
So you never got any treatment for that?
I've seen counselors, but nothing ever came out of it. You know, as far as that, I tried explaining it, and when they talked to my parents would deny it.
So was family members?
Yes, sir, a sister and a cousin.
Well, tell me what have you done while you've been there? What have you taken? What classes have you taken? Sex offender treatment? What have you learned? What have you been doing?
Been working, I've taken, 5 different classes since I've been in this facility. Sex offender program has helped me out a lot. It's taught me things that, how to code tools to deal with, certain situations. I've taken victims impact, and that's taught me not only am I hurting the victim, but it's a ripple effect. I hurt the family too. And it's opened my mind to a lot of things that I didn't realize.
So what about the sex offender? Have you taken all the phases?
Yes, sir. I graduated, I believe, last year.
What did you learn about that?
Yeah. The risk factors is taught me, gave me names for the problems that I have. So I'm able to deal with them when I see problems like that come up now.
Be able to kind of work through your previous problems as a child?
Yes, sir. I have these 9 years that helped me out. It's helped me self-diagnose myself and be able to try to fix what's happened to me.
What have you taken some drug and alcohol treatment or some type of classes? Or I mean, you said you had drug and alcohol problems.
I've taken risk management, and that's shown me, what the drugs are pretty much doing to me, clouding my mind, and that's something I don't want to go back to when I get out.
So what's your plans if you were to be released? Where are you going to go? What you going to do?
As of right now, I don't have an address. Mr. Crockett, he's the DOC transition specialist. He's going to get me involved in a CIG program, and they're going to find me an address for me to go to. And then I'm going to try to use my trade to find a good job and, pay what I got to pay and get on with my life.
Where would you go back to? Where you live, where you were before?
No, sir, wherever Mr. Crockett can find me an address to.
You do have a lot of opposition to your early release. Just need to know that there's nothing you can do about that. And you do have looks like the ex-wife is supportive of you, but still wants no contact with the child, with the victim. I think he's aged now, but still that's pretty clear. But it's going to be pretty different. If you get out, you'd have to stay on your medications. You'd have to make sure you get that under control. You'd have to stay away from drugs and alcohol. You'd have to keep working. You'd have to follow all the sexual offender restrictions. I mean, it's just there's going to be a lot going on. I see, regardless whether you get out today or not, you're going to be out in 2025. And to try to make a life for yourself. But you're right. You do need a place to go. You need a house, somewhere to stay. And you said you're working with who again?
I'm sorry?
Who you working with again to find you a place to stay?
Mr. Crockett, he's the DOC transition specialist.
Yeah, transition specialist. Okay. Okay. And so you've had risk management.
Yes,
Was that 1 and 2? But you've never been to any long-term substance abuse, huh?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Roche has a question.
Good morning, Mr. Millman. How are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you, sir?
Just a couple of things, Mr. Millman. You say you were abused from the ages of 1 to 9 or 10 by your sister.
Sister, babysitter, and cousin, yes, sir.
So all of your abusers were female.
Yes, sir.
Now, you also said that you used cocaine. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long were you addicted to cocaine?
About a year and a half.
And how did you break the addiction?
I just stopped one day and never touched it again.
And how long after that were you incarcerated?
About a year.
So a year before you were incarcerated, you didn't use cocaine at all.
No, sir.
How often did you use alcohol?
Usually on the weekends.
So cocaine and alcohol didn't really play a part in your offense.
I don't really see where it is, sir. I was just in some dark times.
Thank you, Mr. Milton.
All right, would you like to make a statement on your behalf?
Yes, sir. I want to apologize to my victim. You know, when I was supposed to sit there and be there for him, I wasn't. And I'm really sorry. I hope one day he can forgive me for what I did. I've got plans. When I get out, I want to, I got to go. Once I get on my feet set, I want to start counseling, and I want to stay in counseling, and continue my treatment from here.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you. Council President vote?
Yes.
I'll vote first. Mr. Millman, yes, you got a lot going on. A lot to unpack here. You got a lot going on. You've obviously done some really, really good things. You've taken sex offender treatment. You take some classes. The risk management is important. You do have your ex-wife supports you, which is positive. Look, I think there's a combination of a lot of things you do. You have you said you manic depressive and bipolar. That's something you'll continue to work with as long as you are around. Obviously, drugs and alcohol, cause that major problems with that diagnosis. That's not that doesn't go hand in hand. And I think there is some connection between your drug use, your mental health status, and what you did in your past. My vote today would be to grant your parole to long-term substance abuse. I would like to see you go to a long-term substance abuse program. I think that would give you more counseling, give you more tools. I think you'll learn some things about yourself as well. I mean, you'll get a lot of crossover not only with substance abuse, but with your past history. So I would just one vote. I would vote to a long-term substance abuse program, the Steve O program, for 9 months, and then after you're released, I would obviously you follow all the sex offender guidelines. I want you to attend NA. Well, I want you to minimum attend NAA 3 times a week. But if Steve Hall recommends you do more, then you do more. So whatever the greater is. But I would have you do that. I'd have you on a curfew from 10 p to 6 a. I would have you to continue to follow up with your mental health care, and they'll work with you on that as well. And not having a place, I think this gives you 9 months to really kind of find your way. I know you're working with the transition, especially. We can't just let you out and you not really have a place to go as well. So, so we'll see. We'll and so that's look, that's just my vote. One vote. Obviously, I had to report to your parole officer weekly for the first 4 months, or for the first month, weekly for the first month. Okay, and just follow all the rules and guidelines. But just one vote. It looks the staff. Anybody in there? Is your staff still in there?
Yes, sir, he is.
Y'all, they have any input on this offender?
Mr. Gary Miller said he's a good worker. He's been a trustee for a couple of years now. He don't get in no trouble, stays out the way.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rocha.
Mr. Miller, my vote is the same for the same reasons and under the same conditions. Good luck.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Clyde.
Today, I concur with my colleagues. My vote is the same for the same reasons. Best wishes to you, young man.
Thank y'all so
All
much.
right. I shall have 3 votes to grant to the long-term substance abuse. You understand, after successful completion of that, you'll have these stipulations and then you'll be released. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
3 votes to grant, your parole's been granted. Good luck to you. And
Thank
we'll
you.
adjourn at Franklin Parish, 10:45. Thank you.
Well, we're gonna fast forward to his next hearing, which is after he finishes these programs, and then they'll see what they should do. But frankly, it's, they didn't get into the crime. They didn't ask him any questions. They didn't mention anything about the victim because I'm surprised. Normally they'd get into this stuff. What did he do? Why did he do it? I mean, they didn't, none of those questions, and we don't have any information on this. It's just, it's a black hole when you Google it. He says, I couldn't control myself. He mentioned that a few times. I couldn't control myself. He didn't even seem to have the excuse of not being sober. And it's terrifying. It's tragic. You hear about the abuse that he's been through. I don't think he made it up. He's 1 to 11 years old. I think he said his sister, his cousin, and then he said his babysitter. And of course, if his sister was doing it to him, that it was just something that's been passed around in the family and they got it from someone. And he is a broken man, a shell of a man, if you want to call him a man. And what's terrifying about this is, they gave him a long sentence, relatively speaking, for Louisiana, but I mean, you can see just from looking at him, there's something wrong with him. I mean, he said himself, right? He has the issues that he has. But even outside of that, it's just scary. And we'll move forward to his parole hearing in today's 2023. It's just, it's just, and if you want to say that he's this way because of what happened to him, it's just an extra emphasis on how it legitimately alters the life of a child, and not just one child, but then it can have a butterfly effect where it just alters the lives of generations. And yet the DAs and the judges don't care. But we'll go into that hearing.
Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 11:48. Our remote location is Webster by the doors. Would the staff there please introduce themselves?
Yes, sir. It's Major Culpepper.
And I'm Jason Johnson, the program manager of Steve Oil.
Thank you very much. Our first case is going to be Mr. Gary Milliman. Mr. Milliman, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
Gary Earl Milliman Jr., and my DOC number is 63-2004.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Milliman, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record. Then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. Then we're going to ask the staff to give us some comments on how you've been doing over there. And then you'll have an opportunity to say whatever you'd like to say to the board, and then we'll vote. You understand our process?
Yes, sir.
This is Gary Milliman Jr., DOC number 6320004. Date of birth is June 14, 1976. He's a first-time felony offender. Had a parole eligibility date of August 17th, 2017. It's not eligible for good time. He has a full-term date of August the 19th of 2025. He's currently serving a 12-year sentence on the charge of indecent behavior with a juvenile, having been sentenced on April the 20th of 2015. Does that information sound correct, Mr. Milliman?
Yes, sir, it does.
Mr. Milliman, your case has been assigned to Mr. Alvin Roche. He will begin our questions. Would you please answer any questions he might have?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Milliman.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. You're currently 47 years old,
Yes, sir.
and you're a first felony offender.
Yes, sir.
You served 10 years and 3 months on a 12-year sentence. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So you've served about between 85 and 87% of the judge's sentence.
Yes, sir.
And you had a parole hearing, and we wanted you to finish your substance abuse program, and we wanted you to finish your sex offender treatment. You completed your CFOL program in 2023. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you finished all 4 phases of your sex offender treatment in 2021. And you've also completed 100 hours pre-release in 2022. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
With the director of the CFOL program, would you like to make any comments or observations?
Offender Milliman did graduate with us, I believe in April, when he was sent here by the board last time to complete substance abuse treatment. After his graduation, due to his charge, we had difficulty finding him a place to live, but we did find one, and it is that was before we realized that his grant had expired, and they are still willing to take him if y'all grant him again today.
Great. Thank you. I understand you did very well. Let's talk about your transition plan. It's in Lake Charles, Louisiana, at 100 J Street, Lot B, in Lake Charles. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Who lives there?
No, it's the guy's name is Mr. Peter.
Yes.
He owns he hired me to work for a company, and they have FEMA trailers that we stay in. Nobody lives there. I'll have the FEMA trailer all to myself.
Great. And you'll be employed with this gentleman?
Yes, sir.
And what will you be doing?
I'll be a diesel mechanic / general maintenance.
Sounds great. Have you had any disciplinary write-ups since your last hearing?
No, sir, I have not.
Mr. Chairman.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, what is your sobriety plan?
I plan on getting counseling when I get out and attending NA meetings. And I'm working on right now getting a support group together.
Okay, the counseling, you talking about the sex offender treatment counseling, the state mandates for supervision?
No,
That's
I want to get more like NA classes.
Okay, I heard the NA class, then you said counseling, so I'm
Just
curious about counseling.
counseling for my mental health and all that.
Oh, okay, but not, with sex offender, with your sex offender centers, there's gonna be some mandated sex offender counseling.
Yes, ma'am.
You wanna do that, and you wanna do mental health counseling, that's what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. So you're aware that you gotta stay in touch.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, who you gonna talk to when things get hard?
I've got a 20-year-old daughter and I've got a couple of older kids that are willing to, talk to me and get me through the tough times.
Okay, so they have opened the door for you to call. I forgot what they call that. Accounts y'all can call when you haven't, when you really need to talk to somebody.
Yes,
Really
ma'am, they're there for me.
they're here for you. Okay, all right, thank you. That's all I had, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Anything you'd like to say to us before we vote, sir?
I just want to thank y'all for this, another opportunity for giving me a chance to, go free.
Thank you very much, sir. Panel ready to vote?
Yes,
Mr. Roche?
Mr. Milliman, based on you completing the Steve Hall Intensive Substance Abuse Program, finishing all 4 phases of your sex offender treatment, I'm going to grant your early release. And you served 85% of your sentence. Conditions after release. Complete sex offender registration immediately on release. I want you to attend at least 3 NAAA meetings a week. I want you to live at 100 J Street, Lot B. They tell you to have random drug screens. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. Ms. Wise?
My vote is the same for the same reasons, and as you had stated, enroll in your mental health counseling. Stay in contact with your mental health counselor.
Thank you.
Mr. Miller, my vote is likewise the same. You have 3 votes to grant your parole under the conditions as outlined, so good luck to you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, thank you.
I think we're done there. We will be adjourned. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your assistance.
Yes, sir.
Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
And frankly, after this time, he just looks worse. I mean, he looks, when you think he couldn't look kind of, try to use the word creepier or scarier, he does. And he still has the same, it's like, I don't know what kind of narcotics they have him on. He said what he was on. I think it's just an antidepressant. I can't imagine that does that to someone. It's just scary. I don't, if he didn't do what he did to a child, I would feel bad for him or empathy, but I just feel a reinforcement of fear, because it's like, what is he, is there any assurance that you feel that he is going to contribute to society in a positive way, that he's not going to do something to harm someone again? Remember, his excuse was, I just didn't have control of myself. We're talking about a child. We don't know how old, we don't know the details, but for him to get all those years, you have to assume it was bad. Judges in Louisiana don't just give you these long sentences. And they were going to let him go. You could say, well, keep him to his full term date, 2025, keep him there another year and a few months. But he served more than 90, 8%, 7% of the sentence. We see people get out after just serving a few years. But this is what happens when DAs kick the ball down the road. It's just like, what's going to happen if he just loses control again? Just crappy interviews. You have how can you sleep well at night when you let someone like this out? It's like, it's just terrifying. What can you do? With that, I'll let you go.